What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm out here today at my property that I call the farm because it's going to be a future farm, and it was my grandmother's farm, so it's kind of like in limbo right now. Not quite a farm right now, but the future farm. How about that? Anyway, got my buddy Roscoe out here with me, and we're gonna do some stuff. So my game plan for today originally was come out here and work on the auto car, because I know everybody on the channel wants to see that. I want to see that too. Trouble is, this time of year the weather's really unpredictable, and when it drops down to 20 or less and the wind starts whipping around and it's already been raining for 2 days, makes it a pretty much a miserable job to start trying to deal with anything like that. And before anybody says you need to get some gravel in here, I know, guys, I'm working on it. If you've been following the channel, you know I just got this building put up right before the weather turned, and the auto car needs a lot of love, and I like to do that kind of work. It's enjoyable to me, but when I have to be out here in freezing temperatures and laying in the mud and doing whatever, it's a lot less enjoyable. So I want to keep this project enjoyable. It's something I've always wanted to do anyway, so I'll do what I can when I can, is weather permitting, but I'm gonna try and get this building fixed up and finished up some more so that I can do that when the weather's less forgiving. So let's talk about what needs done on the auto car. So first things first, there was a few people asking me to do like a slow walk around so you could see more details of the whole truck. So I'll do that a little bit here while I'm talking. Things this thing needs. Obviously, I want to do a complete working restoration. I don't want to go crazy and do museum quality restoration, but I want to do something I can just jump in, fire it up, hook up to the low boy, throw a piece of equipment on it, and take it down the road. Something I can really practically use, but also be a cool piece of history to be driving. So, things wrong with the truck. The worst of which is probably body work. The cab is in pretty rough shape. I know it probably doesn't look that bad on video, but it's got a lot of rot to it. The doors aren't much better. Bottom of the cab's pretty rough. Bottom of the doors is pretty rough. It could be saved, but it's just a lot of work, and these cabs aren't impossible to find, so I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled and try to find another cab, and if I can, we'll probably just go with another cab. Because places like this, I mean, that's gone. And that's a really hard piece to try and match in there, because it has this piece of, I don't know what you'd call that, some sort of a stamped piece in the door that also petered out onto the cab here. I mean, all kind of stuff, like my mirror brackets rusted through. Those are easy enough to replace, but takes time and money. The hood is a little bent up. The auto car decals are all faded and the paint's gone off of them. The hood hinge has been seized up since I got it, and obviously sometime before that it was seized up because the panels are not sitting flat anymore because somebody's forced them up, and that's arced the panels a little bit more. The bumper's got a couple little dings and dents in it. Not a super big deal, those are pretty easy to straighten. One of the grill things here needs straightened out. So just a ton of body work. The entire electrical system in my book needs replaced. I want to see if there's anybody out there making reproduction wiring harnesses or anything like that. This little pin hitch, I want to cut that off of there, and I'll put a nice proper pintle plate on the back for pulling a bumper pull trailer. The fifth wheel plate is all seized up, so that's going to need a lot of attention. This is just a old drag up tank I have sitting on this thing. The tires, all junk. They're 24-inch rubber with a split rim, so I'd like to find some solid rims and put 24-inch rubber back on it. It's a 5 and 4 transmission. It's a Spicer Brownlee primary and auxiliary gearbox. Here's some more of the body work that's just real bad. Real bad. Like I said, it could be saved. It's not impossible. It's just a ton of work when there's other cabs out there that are available. So the floor is pretty bad on this side too. Not much light in there to really show you the inside. All the gauges look nice, but all the lettering has come off of them. It kind of looks like alphabet soup laying at the bottom of the gauges in some of them. I tried to use the horn in the last video, but it's got a bunch of mud wasp nests built up inside the horn, and the air came out, but it just wasn't enough air to make a noise. So I want to get all the fluid and filters and all that stuff changed out real good, go through everything mechanically. I want to make sure this thing's ready to go down the road mechanically. So we're going to pull the valve cover, we're going to check the valve lash, we're going to go through the compressor, check that out, maybe go through the injection pump, see if that thing's got any issues. Somebody told me the reason it was taking a second to shut down after I'd killed the key was because it needed some O-rings in it. So if that's the case, that's easy enough to change. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll pull all the wheels off. We'll check the brakes out. We'll check the wheel bearings out. We'll check and probably change all the fluid in the gearboxes. There is no air parking brakes on this thing. What you have for a parking brake is this right here. This is a driveline brake. So there's a big lever inside the cab that you pull it and it latches into place. And that's your park brake. So right now, kind of seems to me like there might be a little bit of excessive backlash in the rear end. So we might pull that apart, check the backlash, make sure it's in spec. We'll go through all the leaf springs with a fine-tooth comb, make sure we don't have any busted leaf springs. We'll pull the drums off, check the back brakes out, all that business. A lot of work there. So it's going to take a while. After it's mechanically sound, and I know it's ready to just turn the key and run, then we'll start on the body work. Because there's no point to me in making a nice paint job if the thing is not ready to go down the road, because if you're working on it, you're probably going to scratch the paint or whatever else to it anyways in the process. So there's a lot to do there. All the air system, I'm going to replace all the hoses, the soft hoses and all that. We need to get the breather reconnected. This fuel tank has a leak in it. That's why this pan's here. I started to dump some diesel into this side just to keep the tank from rusting, and there's a little split right there if you can see it. And the diesel just started pouring out, so I hurried up threw this pan under here. Luckily I had it sitting there. So that's where we're at with the truck. Real quickly, I want to talk about the building too while I'm out here. Everybody's been asking me about it, and I still need to put on the ridge vent or the ridge cap, as you can see, and then in the front there's a half sheet needs put on the roof itself. And then on the sides here, on the knee walls here that hold up the roof, you can see I have this red tin running this direction. I thought that was going to be good, but I may have measured wrong or just didn't take the purlins into consideration when figuring all that out. I think I'm going to take those sheets back off and cut them and run the tin this way and overlap it and everything. This was just quicker and easier at the time, but since I have that big gap up there underneath the eave, I don't like that. I want to try and seal that up a little bit tighter. Try to keep some more birds out if I ever do completely enclose it in, but that won't be hard. We'll just take that tin off, cut it to length, throw it back up there, and when I do that, I'm going to put flashing underneath of that tin where it meets the shipping containers so that we don't have water coming down on the inside. Also, these boxes are sloped away from the inside. That way when the rainwater does hit the roof, it runs off this way. This is the back half of the building in my mind. I want to close in the peak, completely close that in with the nice red tin, and then probably use red tin again and close in this whole back section. And there's a lot of site work to be done yet here. That's why that's so wet in there. It's because the water right now runs right through here, through all these tire tracks, and goes in there and just soaks into the floor. But when the weather breaks and it's a little nicer out here, I'm gonna cut all this dirt out of here and make this drain towards the front there where it drops off over the hill. So lots of site work to be done yet. And then we're gonna put about 10 inches of gravel. I wanna bring the gravel up to the bottom of the shipping containers. So that's about 10 to 14 inches of gravel we're going to put in here, so we have a nice hard base. So that'll be, there won't be that gap there. The gravel will be up to that line. I think the pupper's starting to limp a little bit because his feet are cold, so we're going to go get in the truck and warm up. So if you're interested, here's some of the other projects I want to be getting done out here at the farm this year. These two trucks here, this one used to be my primary dump truck. If you've watched the Building a Dump Truck series, you've seen this truck. This was, I used to use this truck a lot. It's in a lot of my older videos. It's a pretty good truck. It's got a 6.6 Brazilian diesel in it and a synchronized 5-speed. It's okay. It's just a little bit light for what I was doing. It's nice to be able to carry a little bit more weight. Plus this thing didn't have any top end speed. Like going down the highway, this thing was redlined at 55 miles an hour. So it's a good truck. And I have this parts truck here, which is actually only a 600, but it's got a gas motor in it. And arguably it's in better shape, but it doesn't have a title. So I bought this truck. I was gonna take the front clip off of it and put it onto my truck because mine's tore up. And it has a 2-speed rear, and I just bought this thing sight unseen because it was cheap. I think I only paid 400 bucks for the truck. So I had a 2-speed rear in it. I didn't realize it was a 600, not a 700. So this 2-speed rear is actually smaller than the one that would need to go in this truck. So that won't work, but I still want to take the bed off of this truck because if you look underneath, it's really solid. It's all been painted and patched. It's in really good shape. I mean, there's no rust hardly to speak of on this bed. The floor's really nice in it. And the tailgate looks bad, but it's just the way that he made the tailgate, I guess. I don't like the tailgate, but anyway, there's nothing wrong with it. So it's a good bed. It's just a foot shorter than the one on the other truck. So I figured I'd take this one and put it back on the 700 and either fix it up and have it as a local or a farm truck, or just sell it altogether and get rid of a headache and make a couple bucks. This isn't a bed or anything. This is just a big old skid I had here. I threw on the truck to get it out of the way when I was clearing my driveway. This truck fires right up. It's always run good. It's never really given me any issues. The thing I really hate about this truck the most is hydraulic brakes. It doesn't have air brakes, and hydraulic brakes are just a pain. And they're hard to find parts for this thing too. This whole area here used to be where I had my shipping container, was right in here, the gray one. If you've seen me build the shipping container shop, this is where I pulled that container out of. If you haven't seen that, go back and check out those videos. Those are some cool videos. But anyway, this is a mess that was left behind from me trying to scramble and get a building put up before winter hit. So this is the kind of thing I want to start getting cleaned up and organized down there where the new building's at, because all these pipes and stuff are things I use on jobs. So it's nice to have them down there and kind of organized. And they were organized when I had the box up here, but things have gotten thrown around and everything. This is what's left from the building kit. Everybody asks me about the roof on the shipping container shop. These are the pieces left over, and I think I might try to use those 4x4 posts to add a lean-to onto the side of that building eventually. But the rest of this all just needs cleaned up and organized again. As you can see, I've got quite a bit of pipe. Most of these pipes have pipe stuffed inside of the pipes. Another thing that'll really make this place start to look like it's cleaned up a bit is if I get all this brush and start burning it, which I'd like to do sooner than later. It's a good time of year. It's pretty wet, so I'm gonna get the skid steer back out here because I've been using it at the church. I want to get it back out here, and I'll start moving all these brush piles around and getting them to places where I can burn them. I've got a ton of brush piles to burn. This tractor here is one of the future projects I'd like to work on as well. Like, I don't have enough projects going on. I picked this tractor up for like 400 bucks. Has really nice new looking tires on it that aren't even dry rotted yet that I can see. It's got rear wheel weights. And the loader is what I was really after. I didn't even care about the tractor. I just wanted the loader, but the guy wouldn't sell it separate. So this is a 454, which is the exact same model as the other international tractor I have back in the building. This one's a gas job though. Mine's a diesel. So I wanted this for the loader because I can have something out here to move little things around here and there. If I have the skid steer or my hoe out on a job, I have nothing here to load things with. So if I need to come back and say I need to grab my auger over there, I've got nothing to lift it up and put it on the truck. So this thing would do that just fine. You know, it's clapped out. You can see the cylinder pen here. She's got a little slop on her, but doesn't matter. I'm not digging any dirt or expecting it to do much. I just want it to lift up stuff here and there. It's not gonna be a problem for this. And there's plenty of parts on this tractor that'll go and fit right onto my other tractor if I need them, so it's good for that. And just for giggles, I might try to get this tractor running and sell it anyway. There's a big old pile of tires over there, and a big old pile of dirt right there, and a big old pile of brush right here. All that hopefully will be cleaned up this summer. The tires I'll pay to dispose of. The dirt, probably gonna get tossed over this hill over here to increase my grade. And this is like farm implements and stuff that I've collected over the years and really don't have a use for. They're old, antique. That's a John Deere pull behind sickle bar mower. I think it was originally designed to be pulled by mules or horses. This is a 2-bottom plow for an early farm all tractor. These are double row corn planters for early farm all tractors. And they're cool. I just couldn't let them go to the scrapyard is what it is. I have a problem. And hopefully I can get somebody to buy them off me one of these days, because I feel like they're probably savable. The only thing that's really wrong with them, I think, is the grain tubs, or the seed tubs on them are bad. Over here we've got my fuel shed. So I usually treat green fuel and red fuel in these tanks. Got my first Farmall tractor I ever bought over here. It's a 1941 Farmall A. There's still some old videos of this tractor running and doing stuff if you go back in my channel from like 7 years ago. But she's just been sitting here under the roof, keeping for another day. It runs, it needs an overhaul, and there's little odds and ends. I'd like to fix it up nice, put a new grill on it and paint it. Got about 10,000 T-posts over here and some fencing supplies. Some other fence posts. Underneath here, it's hard to tell. This is a pull behind Woods brush hog. It's a 5-footer. I used to use it behind that Farmall A, and it did fine. But I just got away from using it because I could just knock stuff over with the skid steer a lot faster than I could bush hog it. But what I want to do with this thing is I want to convert it to hydraulic drive so I can put it in front of the skid steer and use it like a skid steer brush cutter. This is another big eyesore that I want to get out of here and get either repurposed or demolished. I picked this camper up about 5 or 6 years ago for 200 bucks. And for 200 bucks, I couldn't go wrong. And it was in really good shape actually when I picked it up. It is no longer in really good shape. Putting stuff in the woods and forgetting about it for a year or two at a time is really, really hard on things. And campers have to be maintained constantly. So, as you can see, we got a little water damage going on in here. So bad that it's not worth saving. So when I got it, like I said, it was in really good shape. There was no water damage, nothing wrong with this thing at all. There was a little bathroom here that was useless and I wasn't going to use anyway, so I ripped it out. I built this little barrel stove. I got it flipped over right now so you can't see it, but it's like a mini, it's like a 25-gallon barrel stove. So that thing would really get cranking in here and it would heat this whole thing up to like 90 degrees with just burning kindling. But I stayed in it a few times out here, and I guess while I was away working, a big limb came down on the roof, poked a hole in it, and the thing was, when I come back out here, you couldn't see the limb. It looked like the roof was clear, so I never really paid much attention to it. And when I finally noticed it, it was too late. The whole thing was pretty much destroyed. So anyways, what I was thinking about doing was just ripping all the crap off the top of the trailer itself, because the trailer itself was in good shape. It's a double axle with electric brakes trailer. I think it'd make a good little light utility trailer or whatever for hauling around buckets or building materials, anything like that. So that's probably what's going to happen to the old Shasta. Well, take your hats off from this one, boys. I'm still in the grieving process on this old girl. This was my 1991 Ford Ranger STX. This was my first truck, and I absolutely miss this truck every day. I say I miss it because it's sitting out here rotting away. It's not worth saving. when I brought it out here, it was in such bad shape that it really wasn't worth saving then. But I keep teasing the idea of yeah, the whole cab's ready to just fall apart. I keep teasing the idea in my head about maybe buying another either Ranger just like this or a Bronco. So there's lots of good parts on it if I was going to do that, but more than likely I think it's going to get scrapped this year because it's just looks really bad sitting out here, and I like it to look nice. Last up for the crown jewel of the woods here, we've got this as an 89 or a 90 F-150. It's got a 306 cylinder in it, an automatic transmission. And this was my firewood hauler out here for a couple years. And it still runs all right. Well, it did anyways when I parked it. It's probably been sitting unused now here for, oh, I'd say 2 or 3 years at least. But I've got something really cool planned for this truck, and I'm not gonna give it away yet. But we're gonna have a lot of fun with this truck. Okay, don't shoot me, but I lied. There's so much work to do out here. Anyway, this is a couple other things I'd like to get cleaned up this summer because I think they're eyesores and I can't stand it anymore. When I cut my driveway in, I think 3 or 4 years ago now, those piles there and there are topsoil that came off the road. It's beautiful topsoil, nice black dirt, no rocks in it to speak of, no tree roots, no nothing. So I've sold a few loads of it, and I kind of quit advertising that I had it, so I need to hurry up and I need to use some up there around the driveway at the top. But other than that, I want to get rid of all that because I just hate it sitting in the middle of the field. And then I had this big pile of rock that you guys saw me use when I was putting in the rest of my driveway, or starting to put in the rest of my driveway. So there's still like another load of gravel there I need to get cleaned up, and that'll be one less eyesore out here. So out of all the things I've got out here and had rotten away for years on me while I was busy working, this one hurts me the most because I probably spent the most time and effort on this one, and it was just a shame to let this go to waste, and I kick myself all the time for it. This was a timber framed barn that was built probably in the late 1800s that I tore down with the intent of rebuilding over here where those trucks are sitting. So I tore it down piece by piece. I numbered it. I did it very meticulously. There was a lot of bad wood in it when I got it, but the framework was pretty much all good. There was maybe only 1 or 2 posts that needed replaced, and I put it out here on these big pallets and I covered it up like that one, and the tarps blew away and got shredded and everything else over the last few years, and it's just turned into a mess, and I think most of the wood's probably junk by now. So I gotta get this cleaned up because I hate looking at it, and I hate that I let it go to waste like this. But any bit of wood that's in here that I can save, I definitely will. You can see these beams. They got grass growing out of them now, but these beams all have the adze marks in them where these were actually hand hewn, and they would have been gorgeous to either make a mantle out of, or I wanted to put them back as a barn and let it do its thing again. I don't like to let old things die, but unfortunately I let this one go too long. So that's the farm. That's some of my project list for 2020. I don't do New Year's resolutions. I just try to chew up some of the projects I've already bit off. But anyway, I know a couple people commented it kind of looks like a junkyard out here. I know that. I hate that. You guys are totally right, and I want to correct that this year, hopefully. I've been working on the pipeline for the last 5 years, and the thing is, when you work on the pipeline, you have a lot of fun, you make a ton of money, but you don't have a life. There's no time for all these projects like I do. Alright guys, well that finishes up this week's video. I really did want to go out there and work on the auto car, but the conditions were just making it brutal. I mean, like I said earlier in the video, it just really turns into more of a chore than an enjoyable project if I'm out there freezing my butt off trying to do it. So there's going to be plenty to come in the future. As soon as the weather is permittable, I'm going to be out there doing a lot more on it, so look for that when it comes. So I hope you guys like this, even though it wasn't a direct video about the auto car. I did discuss a little bit of what I want to do with it, my goals for it, my goals for the farm, some of the other upcoming projects you're going to see in the future. I had a few people that asked me to see around the farm and see some other projects that I had laying around there. So hope you guys all like that, and look for a lot of this stuff coming in future videos. So thanks for watching, guys. Hit the thumbs up if you liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you next week.